The first time I touched Meera's shoulders, I was sure I had just ruined my friendship. It was after closing time at Nate's bookstore, when the street outside went quiet and the rain started tapping the windows like it was trying to get in. The shop smelled like old paper and dust, and that burnt coffee Nate swore was classic. I was behind the counter with a half-finished spreadsheet open on my laptop, pretending I was here for the peace, and not because my life felt like a mess I could not organize. Nate was in Chicago for a week, working some book fair, and he trusted me to keep the place running. We grew up together. Same high school. Same late-night pizza runs. Same dumb plans we swore we would do someday. Now he ran his family's bookstore in this small town just outside Boston, and I was the guy filling in while he was gone. I was also the guy who did not know what to do with his own life yet. When the bell above the door jingled, I looked up, expecting a customer who forgot the time. Instead, Meera stood in the doorway like she belonged to the quiet. I had met her once before, years ago at one of Nate's birthdays, when I was still a kid who thought older people had it all figured out. Back then, she seemed distant, like she was always listening to something no one else could hear. Now she looked older, sure, but not in a bad way. She looked like someone who had lived through things and learned how to stand straight anyway. Her dark hair was tied up in a messy bun, and she wore a pale gray sweater that hung loose on her frame. There was a soft scent around her, jasmine, clean and warm, and it made the whole bookstore feel smaller. "Eli," she said, like she was testing the name. "You're watching the shop." "Yeah," I answered, standing too fast. The floorboards groaned like they were judging me. "Nate asked me to. He's out of town." She nodded, eyes sweeping over the shelves, the old ladders, the crooked sign that still said, "Quiet. Please," even though half the town treated this place like a hangout. "This place still feels the same," she said, "like my childhood never left." Quote, I tried to smile like a normal person. "It smells the same, too." Her lips lifted a little, not quite a full smile, but enough to make my chest feel tight for no reason. She walked deeper into the shop, fingers gliding over spines like she knew them personally. She stopped by the classics, pulled out a worn copy of Pride and Prejudice, and held it like it mattered. "Mom used to keep this behind the counter," she said. "She said people asked for it when they wanted to feel hopeful." I leaned on the counter, watching her, trying not to act like I was watching her. "You read it?" Quote, "I did," she said. "I liked the parts where people said what they meant, even when they were scared." That landed harder than it should have. I cleared my throat. "So, you're in town for a visit?" "For a few days," she said, still looking at the book. "I've been helping Nate with some things. Paperwork. Family stuff." I wanted to ask what family stuff meant, but her tone said it was not a question for a guy like me. I was Nate's best friend. I was the temporary bookstore guy. I was not someone who got invited into Meera's real life. Then she turned, and her eyes met mine like she did not care about any of that. "My shoulder's been killing me," she said, as if she was commenting on the weather. "From driving and carrying boxes." "Oh," I managed. "Yeah, that sounds rough." She tilted her head, studying me. "Nate told me there's an old massage room upstairs, from when our mom tried to turn this place into a little wellness shop." "There is," I said. "It's kind of dusty." "The chair still works sometimes." Meera stepped closer to the counter, lowering her voice even though we were alone. "Do you think you could help me? Just for a few minutes. I cannot get this knot to let go." My brain should have said no. My brain should have reminded me that this was my best friend's sister. My brain should have reminded me that I was 24, and she was older and calmer and clearly used to not being told no. But the way she asked was not flirty, not dramatic. It was simple, like she trusted me, and somehow that made it worse. "Yeah," I heard myself say. "Okay, I can try." Quote, we went around the counter and up the narrow stairs that always made me feel like I was sneaking into a place I did not belong. The upstairs smelled like old wood and forgotten perfume. The massage room was small, tucked in the back, with a faded green chair and a single lamp that made everything look softer than it was. A tiny window rattled with the rain. Meera stood in the middle of the room for a second, arms folded like she was debating whether this was a mistake. "I can leave if this is weird," I blurted, because my mouth always moved faster than my sense. She looked at me, And this time she really smiled, just a little. "It's already weird," she said, "but my shoulder still hurts." She sat down slowly in the chair, like she was careful with herself, and pulled her sweater off her right shoulder enough to expose a black tank strap and the curve of her upper back. Nothing about it was inappropriate, but my face still went hot like I was 15 again. "Light pressure," she said quietly. "Just here." Quote, I stepped behind her, hands hovering, then finally placed my fingers on her shoulders. The muscle under my touch was tight, like a rope pulled too hard. I started slow, pressing in small circles the way I had seen in videos, trying to act like I had done this 1,000 times and not like my heart was kicking my ribs. Meera let out a breath that sounded like she had been holding it all day. "That spot," she murmured. I focused on the work, on the simple thing I understood. Tension, pressure, release. My hands steadied. The room stayed quiet, except for the rain and the soft hum of the old chair's motor. After a minute, Meera's voice came again, low and surprised. "You're actually good at this." I almost laughed. "I'm not. I'm just trying not to mess up." "You're not messing up," she said, and there was something in her tone that made my stomach flip. "You're doing what he never did." My finger slowed. "Who?" Meera turned her head just enough that I could see her eyes in the lamplight, calm but sharp, like she had decided to stop pretending. "My ex," she said. Then she looked up at me, and the words came out soft and honest, like they had been sitting on her tongue for a long time. "You're better than my ex." Her words hit me like cold water. "You're better than my ex." For a second, my hands forgot what they were doing. I stood there behind her, fingers resting on her shoulders, and I could feel my pulse in my fingertips like it was trying to give me away. I had no clue how to answer that. Part of me wanted to pretend I did not hear it. Part of me wanted to ask 100 questions I had no right to ask. Meera looked up at me again, then faced forward, like she had said something normal. Like she had not just pulled me into a new kind of danger. "I did not mean to make it awkward," she said, her voice calm. "It just slipped out." "It's fine," I said too fast. "I mean, I'm sorry. About your ex. Not about the compliment. I mean, thanks, I guess." She gave a small laugh, and it was soft, not teasing, more like she was relieved I did not run out of the room. "Just keep going," she said. "That spot is still tight." Quote. I swallowed, forced my hands to move again, and tried to focus on the simple thing in front of me. Her shoulders were warm under my palms. The muscles slowly started to loosen. Every time she breathed out, it felt like the room got quieter. But my head was loud. "Nate's sister. Nate's sister. Nate's sister." I kept telling myself that like it was supposed to protect me, like repeating it would push my feelings back into a box. It did not work. Because Meera did not feel like a label sitting in that chair. She felt like a person. A woman who carried something heavy and was finally letting it drop, even just for a minute. "Where does it hurt most?" I asked, trying to sound normal. "Right between my neck and shoulder," she said. "Like a rock that never moves." I pressed gently, and she made a quiet sound that was half relief and half something else. I pretended I did not notice the way it made my chest tighten. "You do this kind of thing for work?" she asked.